often have you been faced with challenges in your life? Well, I can tell you, I had a very interesting challenge. My daughter rented something called a slingshot. For me, it's a high-powered tricycle. And yes, I got on it. And before I knew it, we were going 120 miles an hour, not wearing a helmet, nothing protecting us, but I was having a blast. How many times have you been going 120 miles an hour with no protection, no roof over your head, no helmet? Now, it's not legally required to wear a helmet when you're on these particular tricycles, but how many of you have been in a situation like that? Going 120 miles an hour, no protection. And it was fun, right? But if you have a helmet or a roof over your head, you have so much more confidence and you have that sense of protection and you're able to move forward. How many of you can relate to that? You see, that was the way I felt that particular day. I was on the slingshot and 120 miles an hour, no protection. But when it comes to our business, it comes to our life, we need protection. We need a roof over our head. We need to be wearing a helmet. Even though it's not legally required on you when you're on a slingshot, but when you're in business for yourself, when you're working for someone, you need protection. You want to make sure that everything is going as smoothly as possible. There's no bumps in the road that's going to throw you off, right? So what I want to talk to you today about is 5 simple steps that can help you overcome challenges that you may have. You see, we all have challenges in our life. And when we have these challenges, we make excuses for why we don't get things done. The average person makes 6 excuses per day. And that equates to over 2,000 excuses per year. 2,000. But I see that as 2,000 missed opportunities in your life, in your business, your personal life, but most importantly, in your bank account. It hits you right there in the wallet. 2,000 missed opportunities that we didn't take advantage of. Now, we all make excuses. I do myself. I had 2,000 reasons why I didn't want to get up this morning, but I did. Just like you need to get up and do something when you have that mindset of that excuse is popping in your head. You see, we all make excuses, and it's because we have fear. Now, there's 3 simple, well, I won't say simple, but 3 fears that cause us to make these excuses. The first is that fear of failure. Then there's that fear of rejection. And then the third is, I'm not good enough. So if you're listening right now, please write these fears down. And for each fear that you write down, I want you to, right beside it, write down what caused that fear to come into your mind. See, that fear of failure is that no one wants to fail. Everybody wants to be successful. And so when we have that fear of failure that pops into our heads, we decide that, hey, we're not going to do it because so-and-so is going to look at you and say, oh, well, we knew that wasn't going to happen. So you don't want to let anybody down. So right beside the fear of failure, write down what popped in your head when that fear of failure, that thought came into your mind. Write that down on your paper. The second is the fear of rejection. So beside fear of rejection, write down what popped in your head when you wanted to get something accomplished and fear of rejection just popped in your head. You thought that people would not accept you or not accept your idea. And then the third fear pops in that I'm not good enough. So when you have that fear popping in your head, I'm not good enough, write down beside that on your piece of paper. What popped in your mind that made you think you weren't good enough? So we have 3 fears, but you also have 3 other areas that you're going to write down of what came into your mind when you were feeling that way. The fear of failure, fear of rejection, and I'm not good enough. You see, that all happens to us very often sometimes. And that's because we don't know what our why is. So step number one is to discover, what is your purpose in life? What is preventing you from determining what your purpose in life is? Because that fear is probably popping in your head right now, but you know that you have a purpose in life. So write that down. What is your purpose in life? Because your purpose in life is going to get rid of all these fears that you may have. What is it that gets you up in the morning? What gets you going? See, for me, my purpose in life, and it has always been since I became a mother, and that was to provide for my daughter, to provide for my family, to be the best mom that I could be, to set a great example for her, to have it so that her life would be easier than mine. Not necessarily she wouldn't go through any challenges, but I wanted to make sure that she had a true understanding of what life was all about. But I wanted to make some portions of it a little bit easier for her, such as going to college. So discover, what is your purpose? That is step number one. Now I want you to take a few moments and write that down. What is your purpose in life? What is it that gets you up in the morning? And then underneath that, like I said earlier, you're going to have these three fears that keeps popping in your head. Write down what's causing those three fears to pop in your head. You see, I'll tell you a simple story, and I shouldn't say simple, but a story about a fear that I had. And that was the day when I was in the office working in corporate America and discovered that I had breast cancer. Now, no one wants to get that phone call that you have breast cancer. So I had all these fears in my head. I knew what my purpose in life was, but I had all these fears. And so, as I tell people, breast cancer was a blessing to me because it allowed me to really look at what my purpose in life was. It just validated my purpose in life. But it also allowed me to remove any fears or barriers that were preventing me from starting my own business, allowing me to illuminate my potential and live my best life. So yes, breast cancer came into my world. And initially, I thought it was completely over because you hear the big C and that's what you originally think. But as I tell people, I was blessed with breast cancer. I was blessed to have the opportunity to walk away from corporate, start my own business, eliminate high blood pressure, reduce my cholesterol, and to boot, lost 20 pounds. See, sometimes we take a tragedy and we turn that tragedy into more from a negative perspective. But I took breast cancer and turned it into a positive because I wanted more out of my life and I wanted to live my best life. Corporate America was great to me, but it wasn't my purpose in life. It allowed me to get to what my purpose in life is right now, and that is to help others live their best life. So step number one is to discover what your purpose is. Step number two is to let go of limiting beliefs and letting go of those three fears that we talked about earlier. We all have limiting beliefs. We all have fears. And so we need to, figure out, how do you eliminate those fears? So if you think about it for a few moments, we all know who Simone Biles is. And she is one of the greatest gymnasts that I have ever seen. But we all know when it came to the Olympics, she was faced with a challenge in her life, and she opted to not compete. You see, Simone had a limiting belief that maybe she wasn't going to be the greatest. So she opted to step away, and she took time for herself to really take care of her personal health, take care of her mental health. And sometimes we as individuals, we struggle with that. We struggle with taking time for ourselves because we as women, particularly, we try to be all things to all people in some situations, and we don't take care of ourselves enough. And so for me as a woman of color, sometimes I found myself not taking care of myself enough, not doing what was best for me. And as I said before, having breast cancer really took care of that for me. It allowed me to take a step back and really look at my life to see what was actually going on. And so I want you to be able to do that for yourself as well. You see, I told you in the earlier, my why is to make sure that my daughter has all that she needs so that she can live her best life. And so my goal was to really leave a legacy for her. And I knew I couldn't do it on a 9-to-5 job. Yes, the company paid me well, but to leave a legacy, it didn't allow me that ability to do so. So for me, what I started doing was investing in real estate. Now, some of you may say, well, I don't have the money. I don't have the time. I don't know how to do it. How do you get started? Well, for me, it was a side job. I still kept my 9-to-5, but on the side, I was actually building my business in real estate. So when I would get paid for a bonus, I would take that money, put it aside, and keep saving money so that I could have enough money to put money down on a property to have my first rental property. And so I did that. And the more that I learned, I, of course, had to invest in myself to get more education around real estate and how to run that business. At the same time, I'm working my 9-to-5 job. So I continue to do that. Now, it took a while, 10 years plus, but it allowed me to have some money set aside for her so that I can continue to build another property or buy another property. But see, I had limiting beliefs, and those limiting beliefs were from people that said, you're not going to be able to do that. And I was thinking that myself. I don't have enough money. I don't have enough time, and I don't know how. Those were the limiting beliefs that were in my head telling me that I couldn't do this. But, I just kept pressing forward because I said, if someone can do it in Coca-Cola to leave a legacy for their kids, or with Nike, then I can at least have a small piece of the pie to figure out how to leave a legacy for my daughter. And so I started, as I said, my side hustle with my corporate job. And day by day, I just kept nibbling away at it. I said I did some investing in myself, but I did. So I purchased different types of programs online. I did different types of networking. I went to different trainings, and I was able to learn a lot in real estate. And then I launched my business, started my rental property business. And to this day, I have several rental properties. So I was able to leave that, create this legacy for my daughter. I still have a long way to go. But what I want you to understand is that when people tell you no, then you say yes. Don't allow someone else's limiting belief to be your limiting belief. Don't allow that to happen, because you can do it. You can do everything and anything that you set your mind to do. So that's step number 2, is to remove any limiting beliefs. So what I want you to do is if you have a piece of paper, to write out, other than yourself, who will benefit if your dream is realized? Who will benefit? So for me, it's my daughter who's going to benefit. But I want you to take a few moments and write down who will benefit if your dream is realized. So my point to you today is to trust yourself, have faith in yourself, and know that sometimes you have to go it alone. And see, for me, I did. I had to go it alone because friends and family didn't think that I could do it. They didn't believe that, I could make some money in real estate investing and not lose my shirt, because that would really, when I started this was 2007, 2008, and everybody was losing money. But actually, that was the best time for me to do it. So make sure that you take out this piece of paper and write down who will benefit if your dream does actually come true. And I know that it will. Step number 3 is that you need to stimulate your mindset. Now, we sometimes find ourselves getting into this, what I call comfort zone. And we're comfortable with, the way things are. The old saying is, if it's not broke, don't try to fix it. Well, yes, you should try to break it and then refix it. So sometimes get out of your comfort zone. Connect with people that you've never connected with. have discussions and meetings with people that you've never had discussions with. Learn something new that you've never learned before. So get out of your comfort zone. The second point of that is to the learning zone, is to learn something new about yourself, learn something new about a different trade or business that you're looking to do. So getting to that learning zone. And then the third zone is the growth zone. So once you've connected with new people that think differently and are doing some different things, you've learned something new, you're ready to be in that growth zone so that you can propel to that next level of wherever is it that you really want to go so that you can live your best life. So one of the areas that I did when I was in my growth zone was I branched out into a new arena, and that was in coaching. So I've got my real estate business, but then I wanted to help more people. And so I invested into the John Maxwell organization and became a certified coach, trainer, speaker with his organization. So I expounded my network, and people will tell you your net worth is what your net work is. And so my network grew from connecting with real estate and now connecting with John Maxwell. So sometimes we have to do some things differently in order to expand our knowledge and expand our bank account. So a story I'll tell you is that, when I graduated from high school, my first thing was to be an accountant. And I thought that's all I really wanted to do. But as I matured in life, went to college, met new people, worked in corporate, I realized that, my skill set was really helping people. And so you may find yourself that, hey, you've got this degree, you're working at your 9-to-5 job and things are great, but you have this burning urge to do something different, or you're ready to transition from your 9-to-5 because you've worked your 30 plus years. You're ready to retire, do something different. Whatever that is for you, take a few moments and just write that down. Starting something new can be a little fearful. As I said, going into real estate was very fearful for me because I had to go it alone. So my point to you is that it is okay to be fearful. Having fear sometimes allows us to have the opportunity for growth. So once you start growing, then you start learning, and then you start connecting with others. So take out a piece of paper, each of you that are listening, and I want you to write down, what are you fearful of? Write down 3 fears that are preventing you from moving forward. See, earlier I told you there's 3 fears that we all have: the fear of failure, the fear of rejection, and the fear that you're not good enough. So now that you know that, what are 3 fears that are preventing you from living your best life? T.D. Jakes says, change your mind, change your life. And that's what I want you to do today. Step 4 is decide how you want your life to be. Invest in yourself. You may have to travel to do something differently, or may take a job that is in a different city or different location. Maybe you want to be a business owner, or maybe you're ready for that next level job at your company that you're working for. Whatever that is. But you need to decide how you want your life to be. So that's step number 4. Now, the 5th and final step is that, before I do that, what I want you to do is to take out a piece of paper and then write down these 4 things. You need to have clarity in your life. You need to have purpose in your life. You need to trust yourself. But most importantly, you need to believe in yourself so that you can make things happen. Because if you don't believe in yourself, then what are the chances of someone else believing in you? The 5th and final step is to be honest with what you're willing to give up. Yes, we all have to give up something in order to get to where we want to be. Unfortunately, we do. So number 1 is, are you willing to give up friends that are not willing to help you get to where you want to be? Are you willing to give up a new way of thinking, a new way of doing things? Are you ready to eliminate any bad habits that are getting in your way? And are you willing to put in the time and the work to get this done, to reach your goals so that you can illuminate your potential and live your best life? We all know Elon Musk. He is the world-renowned richest man in the world with Tesla, he's had a lot of challenges. A lot of people didn't like him. A lot of people didn't believe in him. But look at him today. He's very successful. So I use that as an example to share with you that you can do anything that you believe that you can do. You see, when I was going through my transition of my 9 to 5 to becoming an entrepreneur, I realized the three things that I needed to do to recreate myself. I had to recognize who I really was. Number 2 is I had to recognize my faults, and I had to be okay with what my faults were. Number 3 was I had to realize that I was the boss, and I had to be accountable for my actions, my behaviors, as well as my mistakes. So my point to you is that you have to be okay with who you are. You have to be comfortable in your own skin. You have to be comfortable in receiving feedback, whether that's positive or negative, without getting defensive to others. You have to be willing to change. And you have to be willing to know that you don't know it all. So sometimes you have to connect with some people that can help you out. And trust me, I had to do that a lot. I had to connect with individuals who could help me learn more, connect with more people, get to where is it that I wanted to go. So my takeaway for you is this. Make sure that you are comfortable with your core values and your beliefs, and that they match your actions. Be comfortable being uncomfortable. And don't be a people pleaser, because sometimes we want to make sure that people are happy with us. So don't be a people pleaser. So what I want you to do today is to write down one action that you want to make, one action that you need to take before the end of 2022 so that you can reach your goals and objectives. And beside that action, I want you to write down one thing that's preventing you from getting to that action. So your assignment is to write down one action. And then beside that, what is preventing you? What's getting in your way? What's challenge or obstacle is preventing you from taking that action? See, this is one of the things that I do in my Illuminate Your Potential, Live Your Best Life, taking your excuses and turning them into actions. So I have a blueprint that will take these excuses, put them into actions. And so I want to be able to spend some time with you to help you be able to move that needle so that you can live your best life, whatever that may be, whether that's starting a new job or creating a business, getting promoted, or transitioning from work to, retirement, whatever that is for you. My job is to make sure that I provide you the services that can help you live your best life and illuminate your potential. So connect with me. Go to www.lindajordon, and that's Jordon, and schedule some time with me for a clarity call. And let me be that person to help you get over that hump of those challenges or obstacles that you may be facing. Let me help you take those excuses and turn them into opportunities so that you can live your best life and illuminate your potential all at the same time. I hope that what I've shared with you today has been uplifting, and I hope that it is providing some insight and some excitement for you. Thank you for your time today. Thank you for allowing me to pour into you and to share with you some of my experiences that have helped me along the way. So I hope these 5 simple steps to overcome any challenges and obstacles in your life will help you propel and get to that next level. Thank you for your time today. I hope you will enjoy the rest of the summit and have a wonderful afternoon.